Let us see. I think it is recording.
Okay, perfect.
It doesn't say clearly. That's the whole thing. Usually it does.
Today
it is just saying pause recording. That means it is already recording. I hope.
Okay.
I
Okay.
really hope.
Yeah. Pause recording, stop.
Attendance appears to be very low the way things are going.
Yeah.
Too many people who are regulars have message saying they won't be able to attend.
Right. Right.
So let us see how it goes. Anyway, this book is one of those tough books. You read
Yeah.
it?
I read it, but I'm not all the way through it yet because my sister has been very sick this
Yeah,
month.
you were telling me.
Yeah, so I've had to go in and out of.
And this is not a fast read anyway.
It's not a fast read.
Not a fast read at all. My God. How it got through, I don't know.
You know, the English is wonderful. There are
Wonderful. No, it's a book you must read. I'm not denying that at all.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
a
not.
book you must read. It's once in a lifetime sort of a book, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
But then at the same time, very tough.
Yeah. In fact,
almost a textbook.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I felt.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm going to make Purva. Purva, hi.
Hi.
I'm going to make you host, Purva, because I may be zipping in and out.
Sure, not a problem.
And you also record, Ma, Purva?
Yeah, I will. As soon as...
my computer is not showing a clear answer to whether I'm recording or not. That's why.
Sure.
Purva, more. Make host. So you are the host now, Purva.
Good.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
You got my mail?
Yeah. One sec. Let me just record on this computer. Yes, recording. Yeah, let me just snag the background.
For what it's worth, my computer also says it's recording, but last time I changed hosts.
Yeah, so many times
stopped.
it fails. That is
Yeah.
the whole problem.
Yeah.
Let me
Hi, hello,
see
Lakshmi.
the settings. Hang on.
Hi, Suresh. Hi, good ladies.
Hello.
It's going to be a low attendance meeting. Too many people are saying they won't be able to manage.
They said that, Suresh, on the chat.
On the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, at least they told us.
Hello, Chandra.
Hi.
Hello.
I don't know if it's because of.
So I think quite a few people are halfway through the book.
Yes. Me, for sure. I haven't.
Same with Lakshmi. I managed to read it.
No, I
what
read
it is
more than
worth.
half, Suresh. After you told me, you
Good.
literally threatened
No,
me. so I
it makes
read.
the difference. You can check feel the difference. When you
Yeah,
go to the
yeah,
stand-up.
absolutely.
That is why.
But I haven't finished it.
No, this is, too early to talk about it. This is the sort of book everybody should read, but with difficulty.
But Suresh, it was so depressing.
It
Do you know,
was.
because you
It
said,
was.
Chandra, read it, I
My
read
God.
173 pages.
What?
Altogether, Chandra? Altogether, you read 173 pages.
That's
There's
all I
so
read.
much more depression in the book. Why you missed all that?
And you missed all the other sadness. Yeah,
depression.
what is this?
Yeah. It is like, I don't know.
Hi,
Okay, anyhow.
Prema.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Prema.
Hi. Hi.
After starting this book,
Okay.
I've been watching all these documentaries about the plight of women in the Middle East, and that's even more depressing.
No, when I was researching, all sorts of stuff came up. My God.
Yeah.
See, I have
What
lived
did
in
you
the Middle
research,
East
Suresh?
for almost 15 years.
What did you research? I just read the
No.
book. No research, no internet.
I did.
nothing. Oh, you did?
Went
Okay.
about the Palestine problem. That's
Oh,
where I got the
okay,
link
okay.
also to post here. Also about some articles on that subject. My God. I just had, till now I had only vague idea what it's all about. Now a little more vague, that's all.
Yeah, there is a lot of...
No, I
much is
don't
happening
mind going around with a vague idea of what's happening. I'm more interested in what the book says. Background,
Yeah,
I know basically 2 words,
Yeah.
Palestine and Israel, that's all, and I don't care about the rest.
No, no, Prema, you'll recall the occupation of Palestine by Israel. You know,
I
what all we've
remember all
read in
these things.
stories
Yes,
or
yes.
history.
Yeah,
Very
of
good.
course. I have a general idea of what it's all about.
That's
Certainly.
enough.
Yeah. So here is the yeah.
The central
Uh,
map
Very
shows it
lovely,
all, no? The whole
lovely,
story is
lovely
there.
invite.
What happens over time.
Very sad. I don't know. I have my own opinion
Superb,
about.
Suresh. I love the way you
Yeah,
did
it's
the
a
map.
Yeah,
lovely,
very beautiful. Very well done, Suresh.
well, very, and it just opens your eyes.
It just like in a nutshell, you read it like that one glance.
I try my best to
You know,
summarize
it's a
the book in
beautiful,
the card.
look
Normally it
at-
doesn't work. This
It
time it
is.
did.
No, it's
Superb.
very, very effective, Suresh.
I'm glad. I'm happy.
Very, yeah,
This
very,
is what it's
very
all about
good.
ultimately.
Anyhow. Yeah. Okay. Shall we start or are we waiting?
No, we'll give
We're
it's
only
only 4:01. So why don't we give the others a few minutes, given how few people are there right now?
Yeah, I think you're right, Purva. Wait a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought of you a lot, Purva, when reading this.
Yeah, I have to
I
say,
thought of you. I thought of you a lot because that post you gave about Leon Uris, I don't know if I'm even saying it correctly, that came to mind what you said about that. So
Leon Uris, I don't recall.
you posted it saying that we read, I think it was you, that
No,
a
no,
lot of
she
what we
didn't.
learned.
No, that
not you,
I
is it?
cannot lay claim to that.
Posted
No,
something
that
Can't
else.
give, I can't give you credit for it. Okay, but I thought about you.
credit or blame. I cannot take either. But yeah, what was this about Leon? I don't
You know,
recall.
he wrote wonderful books on the Jews, and they became Hollywood bestsellers. They became
Yes.
bestsellers and
Yeah,
then
yeah, real bestsellers.
Hollywood blockbusters. And many of our generation have savored every word of it. And it was from the Jewish side,
It
the
was
Jewish point of
one-sided.
view with Jewish history. Very, very well written. But again, it was Judaism centered or centric.
Who just came?
So can you all hear
Ramesh-san.
me?
Yep.
Hello,
I,
Rameshan.
I'm in
Ramesh-san.
California, so it's 3:30 in the
Oh,
morning.
Good
oh
Lord.
gosh.
Really?
Yes, that you woke up and joined this group, Ramesh.
Yeah, I just because I read the book 2 months ago, I don't remember. I don't have detailed notes, but I did have some points that I thought I should talk about. So that's why I wanted to join.
Yeah. Hi, Alagu.
Where is she?
How are you seeing? I can't see anyone on my screen. I can only see the card.
You should be able to.
I
okay,
can't
let me
switch
stop
camera
it.
when I do switch.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
here.
Now I
Mine was
can.
also, the whole signal dropped and the whole thing dropped.
I can't see
Yeah,
you either.
so I changed onto my iPhone. I shifted to my iPhone. It seems to be better.
Usually it's
because-
other way around.
Yeah. Today just couldn't watch on the TV, on the computer. Sorry, it was going off. Anyhow, shall we start? Or
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Suresh,
Yes.
since you usually go first.
Few things. Not much about announcements. We missed last month, naturally, all of you know, for obvious reasons. Now I think, what do you feel about next month as a physical meeting? I think the situation is stabilized enough. People will be able to attend next month.
Sure. So November. Yeah. I will leave it in the hands of people who are more immunocompromised than I am, because I think they're the people who should make the decisions. Yeah, because I mean, being on the younger side, I am not as at risk as many of you. So honestly, in my opinion, does not carry as much weight. I'm fine with whatever.
hi, Purva.
Hi, Maureen.
Hi, Maureen.
Hello, Maureen.
Hi.
So I'm
Do
not sure
we-
this hybrid
Ah.
thing will actually work. We need to try.
Exactly, the way
Yeah.
you explained it to me.
Sonu actually had a meeting where she had this Professor Madhusudan talk about something, and a whole bunch of people were online. And there were a lot of complaints about not being
That
able
was
to-
terrible. Yes, I was listening in from home and I couldn't see
Yeah,
hear half the things. Exactly.
yeah.
Very
So I think that's actually quite a problem, because when they checked it out before the meeting started, everything seemed fine. But as more and more people got online, the quality became worse. And so a lot of people complained they couldn't hear what the speaker was saying. And in this case, there was just one speaker and he was right next to the computer. So it's not really clear that how we can make this work.
Why not I suggest one thing? Earlier, we were having only physical meetings. Of course, we had a few upcountry clients who used to send in reviews. If they were not able, because they physically obviously couldn't attend. It has happened before. Our members when traveling also sent in reviews. What happens if we do that? We have quite a good number of outside Chennai clients now.
I thought the hybrid is even for those who in Chennai who can't make it, no, Suresh?
No, hybrid
So
is for anybody on the net.
Yeah, but if we just first concentrate on the Chennai people, even there'll be people who will come and people who
No, even in
can't come out.
Chennai, if you can't, your hybrid. See, why don't we do it like this, Mala? We will have the first meeting as a hybrid meeting, see what happens.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
our
okay.
numbers are not very large compared to the
Yeah.
public meetings that Sharon has.
Yeah.
So
we
it
should
may
just
still
send
work for
out a
us.
notice to warn people, to be a little patient with us if this
Yeah,
meeting
This is
doesn't
an
work
experiment.
out.
Let us be
It's an
frank about it.
experiment. Yeah.
So do you want experiment with the spy or with the Mushera murder? That is what it boils down to now.
It also boils down to, wait 1 second, I'll tell you when is the next meeting. 3rd, 10th, 17th, 24th of November.
Yes.
I'm afraid I'll have to join online. I'm not sure. Otherwise, I would definitely come.
When I won't be here, so I have to skip it. Very sad. I would love to come.
Okay, whatever. Let's go ahead and try.
Sure. Yeah, we can try it, give it a shot, and then we know for next
Give it a
time
shot.
how to adapt.
Can do.
See, the people who are physically there will have their meeting properly. There's no problem about that. It's only the people who want to join in on the net. We don't know what's going to happen.
How does the hybrid thing work, Mala? If there's one single camera, is it? Or you can only hear voices or?
Yeah, this was just one guy speaking. So there was a computer sitting in front of him and he was speaking and everybody else had Zoom links. And that itself was problematic.
Oh.
Why not we ask Shabir to give us a demo?
Yeah, we can do
Demo
that.
meeting.
Yeah, we should do that. That
And
would
if
require
anything is
several-
possible to iron out, we have time to do it then. Now that I am sort of permitted to get out once in a while, I think we can do it now.
Yeah,
He picks up with Shabir,
okay.
go there and tell him to clearly give us a slot, not just 5 minutes, 10 minutes. He should run a demo for us.
No, but for the demo, you need people there. You
Yeah,
also need people
No, we
outside.
want people there plus online. I and Mala can be there and request a few of you to join online for the meeting and see what happens. That is the way to do it, only way to do it. Couple of us have to be there.
Or other option is, I'll tell you what, Suresh, just let's plunge in. November 24th, whoever is there, please go to Apparao Galleries, have a meeting, fix one computer, use their Wi-Fi, put it on Zoom. Whoever can tune in and hear, that will be this thing. At least you have a physical meeting on that day, if nothing else.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
The question of
and
physical meeting takes place anyway. How we can
Hey,
fine tune
hi.
the Zoom is what we are planning now. So if we have a trial meeting first with Shabir, we may be able to find some solutions at least.
Yeah,
We will
well,
still have the
if
physical
make
meeting.
time, if both of you can make time, it'll be good.
That's what
Right now.
I'm asking Mala now. Can we manage, say, this week, next week?
Hey, hi, Suresh. Hi.
Hello.
Hi,
After so long. Hi.
Sundari, we are just discussing the concept of a hybrid meeting, physical meeting in Apparao along with a thing. And so they're going to do a test run by going earlier. And they will let us know the appointed date and we'll all try to log in.
Some of you should log in. Only then we'll be able to test it out now.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Two of us
I
will
can
actually.
also come with you, Suresh, if you want.
Few of us should be at site and few of us should log in from
Yeah.
outside. Only then it will work.
I'm willing to come.
Suresh,
Okay.
I'm not in town until November 20th. I'm leaving on the 1st.
So then in that case, Suresh and Sundari and whoever can
we'll
go.
manage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just need
Why
the
I was
meeting ID.
thinking of Mala is because she's already had some interaction with Shabir. It will help.
Yeah.
But now we can't help it if you're not in town. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. We'll manage.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
Shabir will confuse us. No problem.
Well, at least he's had one experience with hybrid for Sonu's sake. So at least he's
Oh, that was the first one he did, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Was he manning the camera?
No, there was no manning the camera. It was just the laptop sitting in
Oh,
front
one
of the
person, no
speaker.
problem.
Yeah.
Now there has to be a person manning the camera if it's going to be a genuine hybrid meeting.
Yeah.
We'll
But
take it up with Shabir.
we don't need the camera. No, why? The camera doesn't have to be on. You can put it on a, I mean, we just have to hear voices of what they're saying, no?
Yeah, but if
Perfect.
we
That is the second best. The correct method would be he will focus on the person speaking,
You mean he'll take the laptop round?
not a laptop, camera. They
Oh,
could
they
have a regular
Webcam
camera.
of some sort. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
No,
don't
they
know.
just shift it, and that is what is sending the signal. That's what it's supposed to be like, by the way. Whether it is like that is now I have to go and see. And then they shift it wherever whoever is talking. Like the way they manage your book launches and all that, no? Something like that. That's far more professional. It need not be that great. As long as he is able to capture the person speaking. And that goes, that is streamed online. Plus, we must have at least our phones and be on Zoom also, even in the hall.
Yeah, so
I think it will work.
let's
if-
attempt it. No,
Their
unless we
equipment is
attempt
okay.
it, how will we know? Let's attempt it.
We'll attempt
Yeah.
it. Anyway, since we are in the room, the people in the room, we have no issues.
Yeah, okay,
We'll
can do.
manage it.
And what you all will discuss that day will be the future of the book club in 2023.
Yeah.
You don't want to talk about our next book then? That
Well,
day.
if you ask me, you should continue to talk about this book. Because I
That
really
book, we can talk about it for 1 year.
No, I haven't figured it out. I'm sorry to say I've not been able to crack it. I mean, since I
I have read it and still I have not cracked it.
Okay, now shall we go on?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, Mala, this is how we'll do it. I and
Okay.
Sundari will manage. Let us see
Right.
what we can do and get away with, and what we can get away with.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks. Now, what I want to do is, I really couldn't crack the book as they were saying, same problem. So I'm going to actually, what I'm going to do is mix and match up some of my stories, some of my observations, some of what other reviewers have said, everything. It's a mix. I'm going to talk about that, and then let us discuss some of these points and see what can happen. APEIROGON by Colin McCann. APEIROGON actually is what is observably infinite number of sides, a polygon. That is the mathematical definition of an APEIROGON. It exists in mathematics, and infinite yet countable number of sides. That itself is something which I don't think other than mathematicians anybody will understand. Do we have any mathematicians in our book club?
No, I don't.
Mathematicians don't read. Okay.
No, not that way.
Or they had
not
better
like-
sense than we do with this book.
I thought that
Prema is
applied
a
only to engineers,
mathematician.
and I was the
Oh,
exception.
no, I
Anyway.
was a mathematics student 2000 years ago. Hardly counts.
See, this is a shape that serves as a model for a new way of thinking about a conflict that is too often reduced to simple opposed positions. So the title is beautifully selected that way. I would say that. He is talking not about one angle, from many angles. And he's also going off in tangents in lots of places, absolutely unconnected things. APEIROGON. 1. it's based on an uplifting true story, which is true. The two fathers, Rami and Basam, are actual genuine people who lost their daughters. All that is true. Only thing is that much alone was taken by Colin McCann, and then he developed all the other interrelationships and the stories and what happened in between. They're traveling, all that is fiction. So he himself calls it a hybrid novel. It's neither exactly fact or fiction. And that's what he himself says first. So this book is unusual in a lot of respects. And McCann automatically says in a note, Basam and Rami have allowed me to shape and reshape their words and worlds. That is there in the book in the one of his introductions. Now, the other unusual thing about this book is it is 1001 sections or chapters or whatever you want to call them. 1 to 500, then a small bridging section, and then 500 to 1. Why the 1001? Just clearly, it is intended to recall the 1001 nights. The famous telling of Middle Eastern folk tales. In order to ward off death, that is the main, I think, what he is trying to say. So, lot of this book was extremely difficult read for me. And from talking to few of you, I find that that's the case with most of you. The very, very, very surprising thing is not a single review I've come across. I've searched for it quite a bit, by the way. The reviewers have said it is difficult read. How it has happened, I don't know. That's something we have to really, really go into. It's something extremely unusual. There's not one reviewer who says it's a difficult read. For example, one reviewer says, you don't read APEIROGON so much as feel it, as the particular tragedies of Basam and Rami are lived out in ever-present moments of loss, which is true. You feel it. That is there. You could actually, he takes you to the location. He takes you to he creates so much atmosphere in some of what he is mentioning that you feel it. There's no doubt about it. That's why this book, as I say, is a must read. The difficulty, agreed, but you're not going to necessarily like it. Then one reviewer says Israeli against occupation, a Palestinian studying the Holocaust. Couldn't be more rare, probably. And then, whose lives were brought together by grief. In 1997, Elhanan's 13-year-old daughter's mother was killed by a suicide bomber. In 2007, Aramin's 10-year-old daughter, Abir, was shot by an Israeli soldier. The two men met through the charity, the Parents Family Forum, and have since made it their life's work to travel the world together, speaking about their experience of loss, pain, and healing. I don't have time for hate anymore, McCann quotes Aramin. We need to learn how to use our pain. All this is true. These two people exist. This is what exactly they are doing. That NGO parent circle exists and what they are doing. Anybody searching on the net will find enough details about all these people. And the way he has written the book, the 1000 chapters itself, is extremely unusual. And you will notice that he has divided the book into two halves, 1 to 500 and then 500 to 1. Actually, you will see that his perspective, how he refers to the situation, how he refers to what is happening there, changes in the two halves. One is, I wouldn't say overall, I want to check with you, what did you feel? For example, Leon Uris is ultimately pro-Jewish and nothing else. He is talking only about their story. This book is supposed to be, according to the author, according to a few of the reviewers, neutral in the sense that he doesn't take sides. I think he does. My feeling was he was pro-Palestine, his approach. I wouldn't say heavily or anything, but it was tending that way. This is the feeling I got, whichever portion of the book I read, even the first 500 portion, first portion where he's talking about the Israeli side. I somehow felt that his sympathies were with Palestine. That's something I would like some of you to talk about. So it's a very, very unusual book. I had a very tough time finishing it, and I'd like to see reactions by all of you. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I go next?
Please, Ramesh. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll finish very quickly. So it's been 2 months, so I don't have my notes. But one point I wanted to ask everyone is, what was the link to Francois Mitterrand that he talks so much about Mitterrand? And I found it, I wasn't sure whether he was praising Mitterrand or whether he was criticizing him. Mitterrand didn't come out as a very nice person in his in Colin McCann's description. So that was one point. And then I have to agree with Suresh. I developed more of a sympathy towards the Palestinians after reading the book. Colin McCann, incidentally, he is from the University of Texas at Austin, but he has a connection with the Irish. You know, he's Irish himself. So I'm wondering whether he took sides in the Irish conflict, and that there are parallels between that and the position he's taken on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. So, that's another point I wanted to discuss. Then I thought the prose was very lyrical. There was one phrase that I keep remembering. There was a meeting in a monastery, and Colin McCann says, the emptiness was brimming with echoes. So there are phrases like that all over the book. So he does have a way with words. And then the description of the weapons and the analogies with the birds, all that struck me as very detailed, very powerful, and very interesting. All the part about the bats, trying to use bats as weapons. In general, there's a lot of description of different types of weapons and bullets. So I think it's just to give an impact, the fact that violence and weapons are a backdrop to normal life, to everyday life, and that it's ever present. So that was, it kind of is a very powerful way of influencing the reader. So these were some of the points that I wanted to just throw out there. And I found the book, absolutely fascinating. I had a lot of sympathy for both sides, but definitely I felt that the Israelis, having been in a position of having been victimized for so many years, they very quickly forgot that and have turned the Palestinians into victims themselves, and they don't seem to care much about it. That's all.
Sometimes, Rameshan, you give us a summary of the book, and you explain. I mean, aren't you going to do? I was hoping and waiting that you would.
We're all actually waiting for it.
It's not a book you can give a summary, Devika.
I know that, but I know normally, Rameshan sort of, he gives us like a movie, audio movie. And today I said, for sure, today I'm going to be saved. Rameshan is going to make me understand and decode this book. And today of all days, Rameshan is giving only news.
It's been 2 months, and then I had to travel to the US, and then from Florida to California. So I'm still jet lagged from Florida to California. So, and I didn't take notes. I usually read the book twice and take notes.
Oh,
and I've read it.
Wow, you do that. Wow.
Oh my God, hats off.
Rameshan, you
the
made
correct way to
one
do it.
mistake. Yeah, you made one big mistake. You should have gone via the Middle East and come back via the Middle East, via Israel, Pakistan. Okay, I mean Palestine. That would have solved all your.
I did go via the Middle East because I flew on Emirates Airways, but I didn't go to
Middle East.
No, Devika, I don't. Oh,
we could have sponsored his flight.
Purva, sorry to interrupt. Alagu wants some help about muting. Unmute.
Or for me, it's showing. It's not showing her as muted. Algu, would you mind leaving the meeting and joining again. Sometimes when my students are accidentally muted, that helps. Yeah. But from my side, you have not been silenced. There's no cancel culture happening here. Yeah.
I think she can't talk, I think. She says she doesn't know how to. She's sending
Yeah,
that
so,
message.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. No, the only thing the only thing I can possibly suggest is basically leaving the meeting and joining again.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I hope, Alagu, you can hear this.
I'll just type it in the chat.
Sorry for the interruption. Yeah.
No. I hadn't realized that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Who is going to talk next? Purva, you sent us a link, right?
Maureen, I
Yes.
think Maureen should do it because Maureen was the one who first suggested this book. I
Oh,
think Maureen,
perfect.
I would like to hear her take on it.
Yes.
I'm going to remember that. Well,
Wow.
I recommended it because I thought it was an absolutely fascinating read, not only by its structure, but also by the story itself. I must admit, I did have to read it twice because initially those early chapters were quite confusing. I wasn't quite sure where the book was going. And it was really only halfway through the book that when they started to really tell their stories and you understood where they were going, that I finally followed the story. But essentially, he follows the friendship of the two men, an Israeli and a Palestinian, linked by the loss of their daughter's deaths. McCann finds the emotional accuracy, the sensitivity, and the beauty to tell the heartbreaking reality of life in Israel and Palestine, while allowing readers a glimpse of hope. And that was one thing that I thought the story was a glimpse of hope. Blending fiction and non-fiction in more than 1,000 mini chapters, McCann's account includes tales about the history of the people, the weapons involved in the occupation of Palestine, as well as the interviews with Rami and Bassam. It is a book of hope and honesty, but sadly, the prejudice against Israel does not allow this hope to manifest itself into a political resolution. However, the heartbreaking stories of Rami and Bassem show that without politics, the people themselves could resolve the situation. It is to be hoped. As I said, I found the many chapters a bit confusing on my first reading, and I did read it twice. But I found it a fascinating read, and I certainly learned a lot about the background. One knows, of course, the background, but I did find that the occupation always a creating aspect element of life for the Palestinians. And until that's resolved, the ultimate solution. Now, I'm thrilled. But for me, I think it was a book of hope. And let's hope that one day there might be, the people themselves might be able to resolve the situation without politics, which I doubt, but that's why I say it's a book of hope. Thank you. Short and sweet.
Yeah. Thank you, Maureen. Who'd like to go next? Lakshmi, you're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry. Is it okay if anybody else going before me?
Go ahead. No, I'll go after you. Yeah.
Okay. I read the first half 2 months ago. The second half, thank you, Suresh. Thanks to you, I read the second half. And I realized that the way to, quote unquote, crack the book is not to think so hard and so deep when you're reading it, because if you think so much, you feel you don't get it. But the second half flowed for me. It spoke to me. So perhaps that's one way. And there is no story, there is no summary to say. 2 children were killed by the enemy country in a completely senseless random act of violence. One was a bullet or pellet, the second was a suicide bomber. 2 very young children, and the grief that their fathers carry. For those who haven't finished the book, the fathers have become friends. They also run a support group for parents of bereaved for parents. In the second half of the book, they travel to Europe, where the Israeli father, who has been a Holocaust, he calls himself a Holocaust child, he actually visits the sites of the concentration camps. He goes to Germany, where he's literally sweating and trembling to think of going to Germany, but he goes to Germany and they talk about the problem. So this is the story. I don't think it ends on hope. I think it ends open-ended. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But that's my personal opinion. I like the use of time. Time keeps going all over the place, which is another confusing factor over here. But what is the undercurrent of the story? The grief that the fathers carry. And grief is timeless. You can lose a loved one, the grief is intense, you carry the grief till the day you die. And if you go by Hindu philosophy, I'm not sure if I'm right in saying this, but you can carry some baggage into your next life as well. So there is no time limit, there is no distance, and grief is never linear. It's suddenly for 1 week, I may not think of my younger brother, and bang, it hits me very hard out of the blue for no rhyme or reason another day. Next, it's not moralistic. Who is right? Who is wrong? I didn't get that feeling. I thought he was being fairly objective. I agree with you that the Palestinian voice in the second half is stronger. You emote more to it. But then I wondered why. Why do I emote more to it? Is it, I told you that I started reading it with fluency. You know, I just started reading it like I'd read another book without breaking my head over it. But I realized that Rami himself has said, we Israelis have so much and the Palestinians have nothing. We have our cafes, we have our places to go to, we have things to enjoy, things to eat, good place to live. It's like another modern city, and Palestinians do not live. They live, from what I understand, basic line, little above poverty, below under poverty, something like that. That's the impression I got. So is that why that my sympathies were more for Palestine? Also, of course, historically, it can be argued, but this is not mentioned in the book. So I didn't go there, but I'm saying historically, it can be argued anyway that the Jews needed to be given their land back because from ancient times, they had Canaan under their power, which is today's Palestine. But in the midst of time, the Palestinians have become Palestinians. So they're saying, who the hell are you Jews to come and take our land? So I didn't even go there. I'm just talking very briefly about it. The author here doesn't say who is right or who is wrong. And I like that. It deals more with the themes of possession and dispossession, human rights, humanity, ideologies and beliefs. The soldiers who did this, what kind of ideology was put into their heads where they would do random shooting of children? Okay, they may not be bad people. It's what has been filled in their heads. So it talks the themes come in over here, and I don't think Colin gives us a solution to it or gives us any, this person is better than the other person. And I liked it for that. He's seeing it objectively. The structure. Now, I can talk a lot about the structure that really irritated the dickens out of me in the beginning. I thought in the beginning, what the hell is this? What's he trying? Is he trying to prove to the literary world that he's got a new trick up his sleeve? 1,001 chapters, sometimes it's one line, sometimes it's many paragraphs, sometimes it's just a picture which resembles, I think it was Banks' graffiti. That was one picture, the little girl holding the balloon.
Yeah.
I think so, it was Banks, right? Yeah. So suddenly puts London Banks into it. So what the hell is happening over here? Then I said, no, let me not look at it negatively. So I said, is it interesting? Definitely. Is it annoying? Sometimes. And then I said, what other way to do it? Could he have divided the book into half as he has and had first person, the Israeli talking and the second person, the Palestinian talking? Would that have made it better? Not necessarily. So maybe he's just done something wonderful. And then I realized, hey, this guy's good. I didn't think it gimmicky. I thought it was very clever, but I don't think it can be repeated. Then 1001 Nights. Why 1001 Nights? Okay, so then while I was washing vessels, I said, let me think about that. And I thought, how many ways can I see this story? I can see it, of course, from the protagonist's view, Israeli-Palestine. I can see it from the soldier's point of view. I can see it if the dead child were to speak from the dead child's point of view. I can see from the political leader's point of view. There is no end to who is right and who is wrong, depending on the 1001 perspectives we can have on this story. So that's something else that caught my attention. The general knowledge and the trivia, Rameshan, that you spoke about, I got irritated by. Yes, this Charles Mitron and eating that pigeonhole, and he eats a little, not pigeon, some little bird.
Ortolan, I think.
Ortolan. It's cooked whole and he eats it whole and he doesn't want to show how disgusting the whole process is. So he puts a towel over his head and has it. What the hell is it for? What is he trying to talk to me about? I couldn't understand it. Maybe it's my ignorance. And the number of paragraphs on birds. Why? I couldn't figure that out either. So those kind of things, that GK and trivia that I could get the part about the war, the gunpowder, the bats was particularly interesting, as you said, Rameshan. But all the other rest of it, I thought, come on, man, stop wasting my time. You could have edited this book like Ponniyin Selvan. It could have been edited a bit. The movie, I'm saying, not the book. The book, I haven't read the
I was
book.
just going to say, good thing Vijay is not here to hear that.
Okay. So, and I loved Ponniyin Selvan, the movie. I totally loved it. Okay. I don't know anything, but I loved the movie. But I'm just thinking they could have cut some of the battle scenes. So this is what and thank you, Maureen. I'm very, very glad I read the book, but I got very irritated. It took me 3 times to get into it. But the 4th time when I picked it up and read it, I really enjoyed it. Okay, on the whole. Thank you.
So I know a lot of y'all have appreciated the both sides argument. That honestly to me was one of the worst parts of the book, because I don't know, maybe it's because as a translator you think about voice and power, and you think about who tells the story, right? And who is telling this story? It is not a Palestinian person. It is not a Jewish person. It's some white dude from Ireland. Which, okay, in fairness, Ireland is a colonized nation, so he has some idea of the dynamics there. But I am very uncomfortable with the idea that it's telling both sides. No, what is happening is basically it is a member of a colonial power which has oppressed and cause unimaginable violence to a native, an indigenous community, and their pain is presented as equal. That for me, regardless of how pretty the language was, how whatever the nonsense was about the birds, I just could not get past that. For me, I don't think that the both sides narrative works, because I mean, think like if we had, if there had been a book about, I don't know, a member of the General Dyer's squad, suppose his child had been killed versus a child of Indian revolutionaries who have been killed, I don't think we would have been trying to say, oh, both sides feel pain. I don't understand why we do that with Israel and Palestine. So for me, that equation of the two, I don't know, I really hated the idea that, oh, both sides are the same when they're not.
Right, you're asking that question, or you're waiting, the pause is for
no, the pause was,
okay.
If anybody, the pause was for a response if anyone has one. No, I
get that we are too close to the other question.
Yeah, no, I get that mine is probably a very minority view, but I don't know, for me, what Colin McCann was doing with equating those two pains, that didn't sit right with me.
Can I say something at this point?
Sure,
I
please.
agree with you on the voice, okay? It was Colin speaking and not an Iranian or a Palestinian. I get what you said. In fact, that's one of the things I jotted down on my paper over here. Okay, it's that I don't get the sense of a real Palestinian or a real Israeli talking. But the grief part, wouldn't it be the same? Two fathers having lost to their respective kids.
Here's the thing, though. I feel okay. Here's the thing, though. What happens is when the book just becomes about those two fathers' grief and it ignores the larger setting, what it does is it kind of helps whitewash the atrocities that Israel has been doing.
Can I
It's
say
not
something?
one way atrocity, ma. Atrocities
yeah.
are from both sides.
No. Can I say something?
Again, yeah.
Talking about, see, ultimately it's human tragedy, okay? Let's have a big political, whatever reason, let there be civil war, let there be a world war, let there be a battle, war, whatever. Ultimately, end of it, it is a person, somebody's mother, somebody's father, somebody's son, somebody's daughter. It is always ultimately the person, the child, or that one individual, okay? He has now, okay, let's not, you complete, then I'll tell my opinion based on this, whatever much I've read. But I feel he has very skillfully captured that. Ultimately, it is not a political thing. It's not just partition into Pakistan and India. It is those individual people who crossed with nothing. If I leave my home, I will think about, oh, do I have to throw away this book? Do I need to throw away? Because I have vacated 5 times in my life, okay? Each time I take something up, I'll think, my God, my mother passed away. She just passed away in the morning, okay? After breakfast, she just was not there. Then you pick up her soap that day she used, the powder she used, the snack she had planned to eat after an hour. So it is not that the child, it is that child has lost his life. The person is no longer there. You know, like you cannot bring that person back, whatever happens. So I think that poignance, whatever it is, that mystery he has brought out. Okay, now continue. Sorry, Purva.
No. I understand that. Okay, I understand that this novel is about two individual fathers. It is a beautifully written novel. I'm not denying any of that. Yeah, what I'm saying is, okay. So I'm going to read a bit of an article that explained it better than I did. I want to be clear that I am not comparing or equating forms or instances of injustice. I am trying to make the point that it is the height of mendacity to suggest that the stories of individual relationships in circumstances of enormous power disparities are anything but normalization sideshows, and certainly not a challenge to the machinations undergirding structural oppression. Which is what, like I said, this is a lovely book. It's beautifully written. That's fine. What is it actually doing to, what is actually doing to help the people of Palestine? Not nearly as much as people think it is. And it's not questioning the actual power structure of what is going on in any meaningful way. At least for me, that is what I thought about it. And frankly, part of it is that also, why was this given to an outsider when honestly, I would rather have heard a voice from the region?
That's because the outsider
degree of
chose to write
neutrality.
the book. It's only a book of fiction.
Yeah, but
It is about real. No, it is about real
publish it.
people. All that I agree. It's about two real people. But ultimately, it's just a work of art that he's produced. So I don't think that some of these things.
Art is fundamental in changing opinion. Jaws did so much to threaten shark species the world around. You can't argue that art is not influential.
I don't know what were his intentions when he wrote the book. To me, that I keep thinking, why did he write it? Why did he write it in the manner that he wrote it? Both these questions I haven't found an answer. Yes, it is true, people. It's a real story. And the parts that I liked best was chapter 500 on both sides of the chapter 1001, where they both talk. I do not think that he has tinkered with the way they spoke, because it seems to come from the heart. They seem to lay bare their soul, or how they were thirsting for revenge and felt differently in the beginning. And it is true, since they formed this thing called, what is it, Combatants for Peace. I think he says, Bassam and Rami gradually came to understand that they would use the force of their grief as a weapon. So perhaps it was that. They just, both of them went through the initial stages of grief, which, as you know, has many stages, starting with disbelief to this, to that, ultimately. And it has impacted the whole family. And finally, somewhere along the line, they've come to conclude that there's no point in revenge and no point in hatred. It's just a story that he's written. I don't think it had, honestly, I mean, I agree. He does not belong to one of the sides. So he's not an insider. It's clearly a book written by an outsider. That is for sure. And I agree with it 100%. And maybe he had his leanings towards one side or the other, which is also entirely possible. So he tries to be fair. But ultimately, it's only a book. And he's chosen this way of writing it
You have to
to
treat
draw
it as
attention to
fiction.
the book. That's all. After all, no one, I mean, yes, it's like an artist painting a collage. Actually, to me, the book reminded me of a collage. Because there are a whole lot of different elements in it, diverse elements, taken from different periods of time, from different places in the globe, and they all just appear. Now, if you ask me why they appear, what are they doing there? As you say, the birds. There were so many other things like that, somebody else saying something else. I don't know why he wrote all these things. I haven't really figured that out. I think that's just his way of writing a book. Why does anyone write a book in a particular way? Just what appeals to that man as an artist, what he feels like doing. I don't think that Colin McCann, whether he came from Ireland or wherever, that he was waiting to see how the two sides balanced or anything of the kind. He was just writing a book. Because suddenly you find, birds are there. Then there's some little piece about something called the zagharit, which is a kind of a ululating noise that they make. Now, why are they there? I couldn't see any connection between them and the rest of the book. The whole lot about water sources, floods, the ocean, all that sort of thing is there. Then there's something about algebra. What is the real name of algebra? And then from algebra, he jumps into bone setters. That's in fact the very next chapter. Algebra finishes and bone setter starts. Now, I don't know why he did it. I haven't figured it out. That's what I'm trying to say. So to me, it's like a collage of many artists, which I see, Miro or something. I don't understand the collage, but I just look at it. So that's the only way I could, I'm being very honest about it. And the real genuine part about it, I felt, was chapter 500 on both sides of 1001. Because that seemed to speak to me. And it seemed that they were really self-introspecting a little bit. But clearly when you see Rami talking, then you realize that he's thinking of various steps, and then he comes out with something, whatever. Ultimately, why they join forces. That's all.
Actually, the author mentions this fact that the whole story is based on those two interviews which are in the middle of the book. Everything starts there, actually. He's put it together in a different way, a rather unusual way. That is the core of the book. That is the core.
I wonder if one of these Rami and Basim will see any monetary reward for the fact that their stories have been used in this book.
Surely he would have asked them permission, wouldn't he?
Permission, yes. A share of the royalties?
I don't know whether that depends on what was agreed on. Depends on what was agreed on.
I'm being mostly
I understand what you're saying.
facetious.
It's a point. It's true.
But
No, like I said, no, I understand that I come from this at a slightly different perspective than anybody else. But for me, the lack of acknowledgement of the institutional power of Israel versus the institutional power of Palestine doomed this book for me. I mean, it's well written, all of that, but I mean, I wasn't a fan.
yeah, I understand you
As
perfectly.
as Apurva, as the Jews will say, "Oy vey, what a pity."
As I said, I just read it as a work of fiction based on real people. That was all I did. And then it was possible, though many things I don't understand what they were doing in the book.
That is why it is called APEIROGON.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go into that.
I think he just started the whole book. Maybe he's being paid by the word.
Honest.
Talk or
And okay, I kind of didn't like the 1001 sections. It felt a little Orientalist. I don't know.
Really, I just thought, really? I didn't think of it at all like that. I just got a little annoyed after a while.
it's
But then I got
irritating.
used to it also.
I mean, I'm probably overthinking, but the thing is, I just before I read the book, I was reading an article about Edward Said, so it was probably on my mind. But I was just like, okay, this is a book about Israel and Palestine, and you go for the really ridiculously obvious, thing that everybody knows about the Middle, and not even that part of the Middle East, actually. So I don't know, I'm probably overthinking it, but the 1001 thing just felt a little odd in that context.
Gimmicky. I felt it was a little, the whole thing was
gimmicky. Thank you. That was what I was looking for.
Yes, of course.
But that was what he wanted. He did it deliberately.
Yeah, that's what he wanted.
You thought
Very
of
deliberate.
You thought of a collage. I thought of a jigsaw.
Okay.
That was a picture coming in my head.
I thought of a collage straight away, different sizes, different sections, different themes all together. It was like a collage. When you see Miro and all doing these huge ones.
Throughout the book, I was feeling the title APEIROGON. That's what he says. That is why so many elements come in, some even totally unrelated.
Can I ask a question? Lakshmi, you called somewhere at the beginning of last month, somewhere when we started reading the book, and I said, what is this about? And I at that time was very enthusiastic. And you asked me about the birds, remember? You
Yeah,
said,
I still don't get it.
Very honestly, that's what I wanted to ask. Have you cracked that one? I haven't got it.
Well, I made my own, to reassure myself, I made my own symbolism, but that's mine. Yeah, I don't know what this guy was doing. I made my own interpretation to keep me happy.
I mean, my best guess was that he was trying to make word count, because
That's
I
it.
am completely
That's my
confused
feeling
about the
also.
birds.
Just word count.
I mean, maybe you like Dickens, paid by the word. I have no idea.
I think there must be something more to it, but it really went a little too far, the birds part.
He got carried away by the title he has given the book. The APEIROGON. That's exactly what must have happened.
It has birds in it. The birds are
Oh,
there.
yeah. So
He's
they
given a
are,
huge
correct.
amount of importance to birds.
Yeah, a lot of importance to birds.
Yeah, I mean,
I
maybe
think
nowhere
it's
it
because they
connects.
migrate.
Birds.
No, I think it's the freedom of the birds because they migrate.
They
There's a lot
migrate.
about the
There
migratory
are no
pattern.
borders.
And
There are no
human
borders.
beings are never allowed to migrate. I mean, there's a whole lot of trouble when you try to migrate somewhere. Borders and this and that. Where do you come from? Where are you from? And these birds are just citizens of the world. They can go where they like. Nobody can stop them. I felt
And
that was
Prema-
perhaps the symbolism. I don't know.
Yeah, but also there were parts where the birds get trapped and killed by the wires
Yes.
and the trap. So mankind
both,
interferes
yes.
everywhere,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We
Yes, these are the man-made barriers which exist.
Yes. I was going to use the word. I was going to use the word crap. The man-made crap. Okay.
Devika, are you going to talk?
I finished talking.
I'm
That's
very
all
honest,
I
I
wanted
have
to say.
nothing to say.
Yeah.
I'm here to decode the book. I'm here to hear the learned voices to decode the book. Frankly speaking, and you cannot say I didn't try. I'm
Even
right here. I tried very hard, but I just
something. It's so much more understandable at the second reading.
Yeah.
First
Oh,
reading,
second
it is
read.
just no. I'm actually going through the second reading, which is when I really came across these chapters 500 and 500, and I felt they seem to be the only real parts of the book, except of course the little parts about the children. Two different characters. Madar is different in how Ahir is. and how they are. That was also seemed a little freer. And their mothers were different kinds of people.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Although Devika, you might enjoy it on audio. A friend got the audible version, and he said that it was easier for him than the actual ebook or physical book.
But I think it's a very visual book. At least to me, it was always visual. That's why I say collage, because I could see it, in its variety. Like a mosaic going here, spreading out.
Prema, the little I read of it, it reminded me of my mind when I've had a lot of digitalization. It's going here, there, everywhere. And there's nothing like a control. There's no flow at all. Random thoughts flowing in. I'm sorry. The book beat me. I honestly confess this book beat me.
Yes, maybe the book beat you. Yes, it does.
I
So
still
now-
read that.
In terms of effort, I did it, but the book said, no, you're not cracking this one.
Okay,
But
which
then you should beat the book. Now take it out, read it out a second time, and you'll find you're beating the book.
So my takeaway now is two things. What Prema said, that the critical thing is to read it again, and second thing that Lakshmi said, don't think too much. Just read, read.
Just keep reading.
For me, a very personal, when I read it, it was very personal. See, first of all, I lived in Middle East for 15 years, okay? I have worked with Palestinians, not Israelis. I have heard different type of stories. I remember once a letter to the editor in one of the Dubai papers, where a lady had said that she had moved in from Palestine, and she is very happy that the worry she has is only she go to the next nearby supermarket and whether she will get full cream milk or she will not get full cream milk. It was like she was saying, I was very happy to have such a worry instead of thinking whether my child will come back home, And I really regret that I didn't cut it and keep it. Another one, I don't remember whether you all remember, there was a picture of which went all over the place about a child in the caught between the crossfire, and the child struggling with the father. Suddenly he's shot. I cannot forget that. And another one is, I have worked with Palestinian people, and one boy, very young boy, he told me, you're coming from India? I said, yes. You have passport? I said, yes, I have passport. He said, then you have a house? I said, yes, I have a house. Then why are you here? Go back home. I have no home. I just have a travel document. And he showed me a piece of paper which said that and UAE recognized Palestinian travel documents, so they treated it as a passport and allowed them to live in their country. See, and I have also heard Lebanese saying the same opposite things about Palestinians, say that they are like desert rats. Never trust them, Chandra. They are desert rats. So you don't know. It's a very complicated situation.
Yes, very.
Very. But I felt very moved because I was thinking only about the parents and the fathers of the children. It never leaves you. In Sanskrit, there is a sentence, Putra Shoki Puna Punaha. I don't know whether you heard it. Putra Shokam comes again and again and again throughout your life. It never. I was only thinking of that and I just couldn't read. I was feeling so depressed, I remember putting it in the group also, I'm depressed. See, it was too much. So, but I think now I might try it again, gather strength and go. Let's see.
Interesting. I didn't get that feeling of depression. I thought it was written with some distance. Kind of, I watch it like as though he was watching a screenplay. I didn't get that
certainly.
personal thing.
And the prose in those parts was kind of an impersonal prose. The beginning when he talks about them, their childhood, Bassam in prison, there's so many things. Very impersonal kind of an account in these things.
But the scene where they write about whether what's her name? Abir, whether she is caught, he will hear in the news that there has been some attack and he will try to phone. I knew the child is dead, but I was getting so stressed out, is the child there and the mother, father? Did she, went away from babysitting? It is so, that's what a father or a mother would feel, and it is really, and you have to tell yourself, okay, be prepared for the worst, It was very much, And at that time, you don't think, why is he doing it? And the first part where he talks about Mitterrand eating that thing, I felt it was the European society or whatever. For them, all these things were like, as I don't know, it is very cruel to eat a songbird. It is supposed to be a songbird, that whatever it was, ortelon or whatever. It's supposed to be a small.
Yes.
Yeah,
But you forget that here they show you the Palestinians also eating birds.
Yeah,
He catches them and takes them home.
Yeah, they do.
It's part of the world. All this cruelty to the birds, it happens everywhere in every country.
Yeah, we remember the book we read where we read the other book where what was it? The Cypriots, where they pickle the birds.
Yeah, yes, exactly. The same kind of conflict, Cypriots versus the Greeks. So, the theme is nothing new.
Is it that we feel, we feel we just get disgusted about that image about the bird being cooked live and all that. And then we take all the against human violence and read it in the paper and put away the paper and continue sipping our tea. That's another thought that struck my head.
Yeah.
And the other one is, what about the women? It's such a man-centric thing. He deliberately didn't bring the wives, hardly any mention.
There's quite a bit about
Salva.
It's quite a little bit about her. Her father comes in, she comes in, she's a woman of strong attitudes. All that is there. Salva is just there, But that little portion where they're waiting outside in hospital.
The hospital.
That part was really very sad.
Yeah, that was nice, yeah.
No, I'm trying to think about the last book I read by a male author that had significant female point of views and not remembering many of them.
Now, this is a male-centric book.
Yeah.
And in case, the one thing that I was thinking of was, they draw a partition line. I think if you remember in the book, he says, perhaps they used a thick pencil.
Yes.
There is this woman who says good night to her husband and goes to sleep. And the next morning, she finds she's in another country.
Yeah, she wakes up at
This is funny because in India, at least we keep saying it was done by Cyril Radcliffe. Okay.
Yeah.
But here he says it was done by an Arab general. And the other one was Moshe, or however you pronounce it, and the man with an eye patch, who is Israeli. So I don't know, when two men from opposing sides sat together and do the partition, how did they make it make such a mess of it? I don't understand.
See what
the compromise at every level.
Okay.
Now, at every point.
Sorry. Continue.
It was probably a compromise at every point. Otherwise, they couldn't go forward.
Yeah.
So nobody's happy finally.
See, but I have heard Palestinians. See, the thing is, I don't know whether it is. There is no proof for it. It's just conversation. Okay. But those guys say it was forget about Bible, which was somewhere they lived there. Now we have been living there for thousands of years. We have had a few Jews with us. We had no problem till Americans and the British, the colonizers, decided that we need to give these troublesome people a spot in the world. Why did they all came from Europe? Why didn't they give them a portion of Europe? Why didn't Germany give? They used to all ask these questions. Most of them were East Europeans who came, and the Zionism was started by the East Europeans. Why did they come to the chosen land where there were Arabs living throughout for the past 1,500 years, 1,000 years, or 1,500 years? More than
because
that.
Europeans didn't want them. Bluntly, the Europeans didn't want them.
They didn't want them. South Africans didn't want them.
Nobody. So Americans.
But that is their land, no?
They never talk.
How do we know that?
History.
Yeah, it's history.
Say, or am I wrong? I don't know. I'm not.
Bible? No, biblical history or actual history?
What's it? No, I didn't get
So, biblical history or actual history?
Yeah, that's what. We don't know. It's biblical history, whether Bible itself is, that's the thing, So they used to say it was our land and they threw us away from our land. And they used to tell things like, it's true. If I want to leave a pen, I feel sad. If somebody takes away my book, I feel sad. But imagine you have to just carry everything in a mutai and walk out of your home. Because that's what somebody sitting somewhere says, that it's no longer your house. It's no longer your place. Please leave. Where will we go?
This happened between India and Pakistan, and now they're having
Exactly
these
the same thing.
museums
Yeah.
of material memories where they say, what are
Yeah.
the things that you carried with you? What
Yeah.
did you not leave behind?
Yeah.
Oh, and everyone, I
Probably
apologize,
Ukraine
but
is
I need to
facing
make a
that
move.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Ukraine also.
Yeah.
All the dispossessed people.
Yeah. Each war, it displaces people, So I don't know, in a way, it is like a big man sitting and eating an innocent bird and covering the rest of the people around him. He's protecting. It's like putting his head into the sand and forgetting to see everything, and he crunches it away. It really happened. I read everything up on internet. Apparently, this really happened, and he didn't eat anything after that. He was very sick. He had cancer. He was dying. So he had it, and Mitterrand did that. So I don't know. It is, but it's like just like you say, collage or a newspaper article, from there, here, like it was like journalists putting through.
I have a question before we leave. See, I never look at Google and I never do research. Should I do or should I not do?
I think it depends. Okay. I honestly, I'm one of those weird people who like spoilers. I prefer knowing the ending. I'm more interested in how we get there. So I do my research, I Google it. But if it makes it a less enjoyable experience for you, don't. I mean, it fundamentally
I feel
depends
it'll
on
color
you.
my thinking if I do that. It'll have some, whether I want it or
I
not.
don't
it'll
know.
change
I
my
don't
mind.
do it at all. Because for me,
That's what I'm saying. I
I
also
do a
part
lot
of
of
a book
research,
club,
but
you're
quite
reading
often
the
after
book
I finish the book.
for the value of the book, not the things that went into it. I just read it for the literary value of the book and leave it like that.
But when they say Operation something, I would like to know what.
Yeah.
So I
That's different.
This book had lot
of them.
A lot of it. So everywhere I went and checked, even now, Holocaust novel, The Painted Bird. Then I'll go and check what is The Painted Bird book. Then you talk about this.
You finished the book, Chandra, doing all that?
Good, Chandra. Lakshmi, you said you should read the book without too much thinking. This was not even thinking. She's going beyond thinking. She's click checking. Oh my God.
I feel very incomplete. So I'll go on. That is why I could only finish 173.
Okay,
My
so now
method is safer.
The next book after Spy the Traitor better be an easy book to read, no?
It is.
It's Murder at the Mushaira. I think.
No.
What is the next, by the way? Which is the next one?
Spy and the Traitor.
Hey, by the way, I bought the Booker Prize book. Are we planning to read it? I would like to read it in the book club.
The Sri Lankan gentleman who won it.
It's about Sri Lankan civil war. I would like to know how he has treated that.
Chandra, please read it.
Enough of conflict. Please, no more conflict.
If I may say so, I deserve this book because in that Andheri overbridge one, I said, is this the sort of book a book club reads?
This is the sort of book.
You sent the wrong energy out into the universe, Devika.
I know. I have now realized that I better be careful with my words.
The universe is watching.
Yep. But I'm so sorry, everybody. I have to run.
Which is the next book, please, before we go?
The Spy and the Traitor. The Spy and the Traitor.
Prema, Suresh will put it up by tonight in the
It's already there, Devika, but I'm sure Suresh will do it again.
I'll do it.
Okay. Done. See you, ladies. Next.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. See you either in person or online next
I'll
month.
work out with Sundari.
I have to add one more thing. There was a book called Sibo there below. I don't know if you all remember long ago. And nobody liked that book except me. I loved it. It's one of my favorites. This time I thought it's going to be like that and bought a physical copy. If I had to read this on Kindle, I'd have died.
That's true. That's very true. The Kindle would have finished.
Kindle book.
No, I agree.
Not at all.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.